There's a couple tools that I use for higher self communication, and one of the very prominent ones you've all heard of is dream interpretation. So the higher self, or these higher levels of being or aspects of you, are communicating with you in the waking state. It appears as synchronicity or uh, forms of guidance, for example. And that communication can occur anytime you open to it, and it also happens spontaneously, right? So this connection with the higher nature is a continuous flow of information. It's just usually our senses or our attention is focused on the physical body and the activities that we're engaging in. When you're dreaming, the physical data or conscious intentional faculties of your mind are not active. If you're lucid in a dream, then that's a non-ordinary dream by most people's standards. Usually the dream is just it's an autopilot experience. Because there's an absence of this emphasis on physical activity or having to use your intention or use consciousness in the ways that we're normally accustomed to, and because it's a realm of pure imaginative power and manifestation, the communication from the higher self is very clear in the dream state. Like a guide can actually appear and give you advice, or you can open a book in a dream and there will be like a message or a picture that could be related to a specific challenge or problem that you're having in your life. Um, so this is more directly and tangibly accessible in the dream state. I mean, right now, for example, I can relax and get into the meditative state and begin to receive images or communication from the higher self and then interpret that. Or if some of you who are into channeling, you can just relax and begin to listen to this inner voice. So it's possible, of course, in the waking state, but in the dreamscape, it really takes on a life of its own, a reality of its own, because of the nature of being in a dream or being in an OBE. The environment is so much more malleable for the higher consciousness to reorganize and shuffle things around and communicate with us very directly. So this being the case, remembering our dreams and writing down our dreams, beginning to decode the language of our own inner levels is it's a journey in of itself, and it's extremely profound. So in my opinion, the higher self is communicating often in dreams, and this can appear as guides, books, strange occurrences, and there's different ways of approaching dream interpretation. I mean, some people use like dream dictionaries, but I think that your consciousness has its own language. Like what a thing means to you is very different from what it would mean to another person. So although there are some universal themes, I don't know if they're necessarily accurate in every instance. Because when I've done dream interpretations, what I've found is that the same symbol, for example, or the same character in a dream could have a different meaning from one dream to the next. So I use a specific dream interpretation meditation, and what it is I pretty much just get relaxed, and I say to myself, I have the intention, on the other side of this door is going to be the meaning of the specific dream that I'm attempting to decode or that I just had. So I'll set that up in my consciousness, right? But I don't know what the dream means. Like it's very ambiguous, or it's very vague. So I'll go into the meditation. I'll intend that behind this door, the meaning of the dream will be revealed. and then I step through the door, I remember the dream, and whatever words I hear in my consciousness or whatever symbols or feelings that come up, I take note of those. And I'll give you an example of this is kind of an intimate dream, but you know, so but because it was a recurring dream and it's been recurring for a very long time, and I couldn't really I just I had a sense for what it meant, but not really any deep clarity on it. So I did a dream interpretation meditation for this, um, and it blew me away. What came up through this interpretation. So it's not very long, but it is intimate. But there's really no way for me to get around it because I want to illustrate really how powerful dream interpretation is and what kind of messages the higher self is specifically transmitting to you, or on the other hand, how your mind or your dreaming mind is revealing to you a deeper insight into the nature of your particular challenge or um, obstacle that you're facing. So I'm going to share this. I'm going to replace the names of the characters in this particular interpretation. All right. So this was a dream. I stopped having this recurring dream after the interpretation, which is very profound. I mean, and I was having this for like months, and it's related to, you know, the next phase of my life, becoming a monk and all of this stuff. So recurring cheating dream. Recurring dream of cheating on my current partner. So then I say I just took notes after the interpretation. A represents my heart. I'm just using her name, just referring to it as A. And this is what came to me. I'm hiding things from my heart. I'm hiding from my potential. Hiding from my potential is cheating on myself. So I was having these dreams of cheating on my current partner. And every time in the dream, I would be like, after it would happen, I'd be like, how did this happen? Like, how did I let this happen? I don't understand. Like, I was just very distraught every time I'd have this dream. I probably have it like once a month or so. So the not opening myself fully to the next phase of my life, I interpreted as cheating on myself. In these dreams, I cheat on A with J, which is an X. J represents my past. I cheat on my heart by engaging or being attached to my former self. In these dreams, I'm usually confused as to how this happened or how I allowed this to happen while feeling intense fear, being afraid of potential, my destiny, and experiencing confusion as how to actually go about actualizing it or manifesting it. And a message that came in the interpretation was to do something fun or enjoyable for myself as well. Sorry, I think I'm freezing up a little bit. So to summarize this again, right? The situation with the current partner, cheating on the current partner, is a reflection of cheating on my own self by not stepping into the next phase or embracing my destiny. And the person that I was cheating with is representative of my former life or my former self, the part that is still trying to hold on to the phases and the way that I've been up to this point. So having had this recurring dream like 12 times or something, right? Like it never occurred to me at all that this dream was about that. or that this dream represented that. I think the original kind of interpretation that I had for it based on like stuff that I read online was that um cheating dreams are indicative of, betraying yourself in a certain way. So like if you say you're going to go to the gym and then you don't go to the gym, that can be translated into a dream where betrayal is being indicated. You're betraying your own word. So that was like the first, kind of like surface level of what I was understanding here. But then when I did the dream interpretation and I just got very quiet and I made the intention, whatever this is about, it's going to be revealed on the other side of this door. This entire, very profound meaning was revealed. And the recurring dream, the recurring nightmare stopped as a result of this. I haven't had it since. Because then I was like, oh, this completely makes sense. So the deeper mind, the higher self is attempting to communicate certain messages, certain lessons to you for your growth. And this can appear in dreams, but it can also appear as specific situations or obstacles, challenges in our lives. And all of us are familiar with this, right? It seems that we tend to encounter or enter relationships that are similar, or interactions with friends that are similar, or we have a specific dynamic with an employer that's similar. It's like these specific aspects of our lives are almost on a loop. And in my opinion, that's because we're not getting the specific lesson. Like there's something that's supposed to be learned here in this particular area, and until it's learned, it just keeps repeating itself in the same way that I was having this repeating dream occur. So that's just one, example. I have like many dreams that I've interpreted, and I've found that the meaning, like in that case, the one I just described, I was shocked by it. But in other cases, it's much more, it's not like a seismic thing or whatever. It's just you're stressed out during your day, and then that stress obviously translates into a specific interaction that occurs in the dream. If in one area of your life you're in this kind of like tug of war and struggle, it's common to have a dream of being in a fight, or having a kind of altercation or like a wrestling match. So some of these symbols or characters or events are easier to interpret in the dream. It makes sense. Like if there's a lot of struggle in one area, that you'd have dreams of wrestling, but it can be more nuanced than that, and there could be a deeper understanding that can occur when you begin to really just open this box of dream interpretation. One other thing that I do is something called dream mapping, and I'm going to screen share to illustrate what this is for everyone. So one of the things that really helps with spiritual work and dream work and meditation work in general is having this overview or meta perspective. It's like you zoom out. When you zoom out of the situation that you're in, or the way that a specific part of your life or spirituality is unfolding, what does that indicate? Like, how does it look when you actually take yourself out of your personal point of view and you look at it from a larger point of view? What patterns are we seeing? What themes are repeating themselves? So in dreams, I found surprisingly that many dreams occur in similar themed areas. So for example, right here, down here at this location that says Magic Castle area, that's referring to 5 dreams that I had that were in castle looking environments, and that had the theme of magic or spirituality, spiritual work that's in that specific vein, Western ceremonial magic. I also found that I had many recurring dreams at my mother's house, recurring dreams at a school, specifically my high school, and that there were also recurring characters. And when I started to do this dream mapping process, shortly after I had an OBE, which here is called the Astral Dimensions Tree. So when you start to get more of this meta perspective or this overview effect, it really takes you out of the three-dimensional space-time, human body, consciousness configuration that most of us are locked into. We begin to see patterns and the reality that we're exploring from a different angle. So when I started to do this dream mapping thing, shortly after I had this OBE where I had left my physical body and I was looking at this massive tree and in space, by the way. And at the ends of the branches where there would be fruits, there were these like dimensions. So imagine, I don't know, some of you ever played video games when you look at a map of a specific environment, it's like two-dimensional, you see a large area, but then there are these three-dimensional mountains or structures or towers that indicate what that area is about. So at the where the fruits are on this tree were all these different realms. And this is a specific level of OBE where you're really in the overview perspective and you're seeing consciousness transition from one reality to another. So sometimes we have an OBE or a lucid dream and we just click out and we appear somewhere else. But this is a particular level of out of body where you see this panorama of different dimensions. For me, in that case, it appeared as a tree, but for other people, it appears as a checkerboard. And when you place your attention on one of these checkerboards, you appear in a different body or you appear in a different reality. Now, the reason this is important and useful is because I've done the same dream mapping for Focus 12. So it's a great tool in the sense that you're beginning to see, oh, are there repeating themes in Focus 12? Like in my Focus 12 experiences, is there something that is being communicated? For me, I found that the majority of my Focus 12 experiences have to do with the I there, or what I call the mainframe. So that may be very different for you or for another person, but this is specifically the thing that arises or is communicated for me. Most of my Focus 12 experiences are very spacious. They're like cosmic. They're, yeah, space cruiser type stuff. So when you begin to look at your Focus 12 experiences and your dreams, you'll find these themes. And by putting them on a map, like a bubble map here, you can draw it out if you want. Or maybe you just think like this isn't necessary and why bother? But I'm just saying for me personally, putting it on a map like this was very illuminating. I was like, whoa, especially with the dream mapping. I was blown away to find out that specific lessons or specific themes and specific challenges would occur in particular environments. So for me, like I didn't do very well in school. I actually had to drop out of high school because I couldn't pass a foreign language. So I ended up having to go to a continuation school for all the kids that are getting out of prison and that are on drugs. So that particular environment, all my dreams in all my dreams that are in a school, there's always some kind of challenge or some kind of like, I show up and I don't know what's going on. I ask the person next to me, oh, what's the homework? What's the assignment? So, it's reflective of particular areas or themes in my life where, I may not necessarily have it as together as I do with spirituality. So this is really just a way to zoom out and look at your experiences from a different angle. And I do it personally, so I thought I would share this with all of you, and maybe a few of you will get something out of it. Also, dream mapping is pretty fun. And the cool thing about it is if it's on an app, like it was for me just now, when you do wake back to bed, and this is really very, very useful. When you do wake back to bed, or you're about to have an OBE, and you look at your dream map, literally anywhere you put your attention on those bubbles, each bubble is a different dream, right? So you look at that bubble, you get the images from a specific dream come up. You look at another bubble, you remember that particular dream. You look at another bubble, you remember frames or images from that dream. So you literally are loading your immediate consciousness with the energetics and environments from your previous dreamscapes. So it's like a shortcut, or it's a way to basically like load yourself up with this astral dream consciousness, and then boom, you can go into you can do your wake back to bed, or you can do your dream reentry, or whatever it is. It's a way to the term I've used for it is like saturate your consciousness with a particular idea or a particular energy. So when you're reading a lot about OBEs, or you're reading a lot about lucid dreaming, or you're listening to a lot of people talking about it, you're hearing physical words, you're reading these things that are interpreted by the visual consciousness, you're seeing words, but those words and the messages that you're hearing, they're the physical manifestation of non-physical experiences. And by reading the stories, or by listening to specific teachings on lucid dreaming, that non-physical consciousness is beginning to saturate your mind. So that's why one of the techniques for wake back to bed is to wake up, meditate, and then read about lucid dreaming. And then you go back to sleep. So by reading about it, you're saturating your consciousness with it. And dream mapping is a really great way to get like front loaded with all these dreams that you had, and the memories and images just are loaded into your immediate attention, and boom, it might help with transitioning your phasing into a dream, or phasing into an out of body experience. See if there's anything else pertaining to that or related to that that'd be useful. Yes, there's a particular concept that gets revealed to Bob Monroe in Far Journeys called NVC, which it means non-verbal communication. So when you're doing Focus 12 and you get these images, or these moving pictures, or these mini dreams, this is a form of non-verbal communication. Of course, if you're hearing words, that's verbal communication. What Bob discovered in Far Journeys was that many of the beings he encountered, or these either beings that were external to himself, or beings that were part of his I there, his higher self cluster, the communications that were coming from these levels weren't necessarily words, but they were images or feelings. And at some point in his journey, specifically in the second book, he begins to experience a form of communication where the actual experience that a consciousness had, like another being, is able to be transmitted directly to another being. So let's say I had a specific memory. Okay, when I was in third grade, my uncle was running the LA Marathon. It's 26 miles. And when I saw him pass my specific section, I started running with him. And I ended up running for like 13 miles, and I got completely lost, and my mom and my grandma couldn't find me for like 6 hours, and I ended up in the police station, and they had to call my dad, and he had to come pick me up, and I was like 7 or something. I was completely terrified. So I just kept running, looking for him. Scared. So I can tell you what happened, right? And the words that I'm using, they're translated into their own images on your end. Imagine if there's a way where I could transmit to you exactly what I saw, exactly what I felt, exactly what I was thinking. That would be an extremely profound level of communication. And so in my out of body experiences as well, this begins to occur. So I had an OBE probably like 6 months, not, I don't know, maybe it was 6 months or 8 months ago. I can't recall, but I encountered my father, who's dead for anyone who doesn't know. It's been dead for 10 years. And we're in the room, and it's like a lucid dream or out of body environment, and somehow having like tea together. And then I'm like, yeah, it's been a long time, I haven't seen you in a while. And he's like, yeah, it has been a while. And then I told him, what happened? Can you tell me what death was like and what it was like for you in your immediate state after passing away? And so we had a mind meld after that. So basically our consciousnesses merged, and I was able to experience his after death parts of his after death journey as he experienced them. So it's like I felt the anxiety and the confusion that he had that occurred immediately upon passing away. Like total confusion, amnesia. It was like being in this cyclical nightmare. And that was all transferred to me through this nonviolent, or sorry, I just called nonviolent communication, nonverbal communication. So nonverbal communication is its whole lexicon, and it's just dependent on you. Like if you couldn't talk to me verbally, how would you convey a specific experience? So people who do, I think probably they introduce this, it's like halfway through the Gateway program, to express the Gateway affirmation through nonverbal communication. So it says, for example, I am more than my physical body. If I wanted to express this to you without using words, how would I do that? So I would imagine, like in my mind's eye, I would imagine and feel that like I'm expanding beyond my physical body. So imagine like a scene where I'm expanding, and that feeling of being more than physical. I deeply desire to know, to understand. So the way I would communicate that to you if I couldn't say words was, it would be, for example, an image of opening a book, and then that feeling of attempting to understand something, like that mental process of I'm attempting to understand this, like as a specific energy and signature. In nonverbal communication and in communications in the out-of-body state, you begin to transmit these like very, very directly. It's how a lot of communication occurs. So in many of my OBEs, ones that I have now, even like I had a dream, a higher self dream where specific guidance was pretty clear, and it was said to me verbally. But the point is that imagine how much communication is happening that's being missed because we only interpret things, or we only interpret messages verbally. Yeah. So this is a really thing to explore more, and we're gonna talk more about nonverbal communication. In the last class I'm gonna be able to do before I fly to India on Sunday is I have to reschedule it for Saturday. So if anyone can make Saturday morning, I'll talk more about this nonverbal communication. If not, you can just you can just listen to the recording of that particular class. But yeah, this is, as you're beginning to explore lucid dreaming, out of body, higher self yoga, there's a way, and there's ways that your consciousness operates in those spheres that is different from how it operates here. And learning those modes of operation and modes of communication while you're physical, and figuring that out from this particular plane, it will prepare you for things you experience on that side. So like, let's say I meet a non-human intelligence, and I try to like say words to it. Unless it's tuning into me telepathically, it would be like hearing gibberish. Like, it's pretty much what it would hear if an alien tried to speak to you in its language. You wouldn't understand anything that is being said. So the nonverbal comm is beginning to experience communication more at a telepathic level. And what people find, for example, when they do the gateway affirmation from this NVC point of view or NVC approach, it's much more powerful than just saying the words. So like, I deeply desire, for example, is part of the gateway affirmation. So if I read the affirmation, I could just say, I deeply desire, right? But if I'm trying to express this non-verbally, I actually have to feel deep desire. So this is the benefit of beginning to explore NVC, non-verbal communication. You have to look at and experience the meaning behind the words and the feelings behind words to communicate specific ideas. At the higher levels of this stuff, people and beings can communicate and transfer life experiences to each other, like my contact with my father. Or for example, in Bob's case in Far Journeys, he calls them rote, which I don't know what the acronym is for, but it's referring to this communication via thought balls. So like, I have a thought or an experience that happened and I transmit it to you, and you pick it up or you internalize it and experience it yourself. A lot of his journeys in the second book and onward are actually forms of thought ball that were transferred to him by a non-human or a non-physical intelligence. So, okay, this is enough of me talking. I'll end this here.